Fish. Got a bite there. Oop, there's fish. He's off. We got one bite on each rod so far. Light biting this morning. Oop, fish. Just as I was checking this one. He's going crazy back there. On the old school rig, scores the first fish, potentially. We've had a couple bites on both. That's the one thing about the old school rig. It is a lot of work reeling it in. Have to reel it all the way up to the top of those lake trolls. It's a kokanee though. Got him. All right. Old school puts the first fish in the bag today. So today I'm doing a trial. Old school kokanee rigs versus new school. Just scored a fat little kokanee on a Dick Knight behind a lake troll. There he goes. Just a single hook on those Dick Knights there. All right, first fish of the day. So something I've always wanted to do is to do like an old school versus new school kokanee fishing challenge. And that's what I'm doing today. I've gone back and read through like old fishing magazines and newspapers, looking at kokanee articles, fishing articles back as far back as the 1950s. I can find some articles, and pretty much like pre-1980s for sure, and mostly up into the early 90s, the bulk of all the kokanee articles always discusses using some sort of lake troll. This is a Les Davis lake troll. And then behind that, they're running a small spoon, like a 3-foot leader to like a small spoon, like a Dick Knight or a needlefish from Lure Jensen. And so today, I'm going to run that and contrast that with sort of more contemporary kokanee gear, which is now dominated by dodgers and squids or hoochies. I'm running these both at the same depth, about 55 feet behind the kayak. So I just scored the first kokanee of the day. I've had bites on both rods that didn't stick. I scored it on a silver or nickel red Dick Knight. All right, and I'm putting just a tiny piece of Berkeley Gold on that Dick Knight spoon, so that just a small one, so that it just kind of flutters real nice. If you put too big of a bait on there, it just kind of flatlines. But if you just put a tiny piece, it'll wiggle just like it's supposed to. I'm also running this on an old school rod, the old school Kokanee classic Featherlight Eagle Claws bright yellow noodly rod. Sure does make a lot of work reeling in all that drag from the lake troll, but hey, I got that fish in, so I can't complain. Like I said, I'm just going 55 feet back. I'm running 10-pound leader for both leaders on both rods, so not like I'm running a softer leader on either one. Okay, and you'll see this rod like thump like crazy from that lake troll. And over here, I'm running a chub dodger with an orange squid behind it, about 8 inches behind it, on a more modern Eagle Claw Featherlight Pro rod. It's a little bit stiffer rod, a little bit faster action rod. Also putting this just flatlined about 55 feet back. I'm seeing a lot of kokanee feeding very close to shore and far out, so it's kind of chasing them all over the place today. It hasn't been a very hot and heavy bite this morning. A lot of surface activity, but surprisingly that hasn't converted to a lot of bites. It was a little bit brighter moon last night. I remember I woke up and I could see the backyard really well, and that had me concerned, because generally if I get up to go to the bathroom and I can see the backyard and it's 3 a.m., usually means kokanee are already on the feed. But, you know, sometimes you just have to wait it out till that mid-morning bite starts on those brighter moonlit nights. Old School's got another one. And he's still there. Second fish for Old School today. Man, it's a lot of work cranking these things in. I mean, you really can't rip them in fast because it's physically impossible. Sometimes you can't even tell the fish is there or not. It's so heavy, just from the drag. Once you get those blades out of the water, though, it gets a little easier. A little easier, I said. Not easy. Oh, he's off. Dang it. Now, one thing's for sure is those lake trolls do put out a lot larger signal. Just a lot more thump with all those blades, a lot more flash than a single Dodger system. But there is a cost for all of that. Bling is that it's a lot of weight and a lot of drag. Oop. There's one on the ship. This is so much easier to reel in. There, he's waking up. Now he's waking up. Nice little kokanee. Oh no, he's off. Do I got one on there? I think so. I might have had one on there, I don't know. Might still be on there. Let's check. Yeah. One on here too. Went to a little school there. The new school hooked up, but I botched the net job. I don't know if this one's still on there. We're about ready to find out. Looks like he is. Oh, that was a great jump. That is a rainbow trout. That is not what we were after. But still fish. Fat little rainbow trout. We lost one kokanee right at the boat on the new school rig. And picked up a rainbow trout in the process on the old school rig. And this is also a good illustration of what happens a lot to me with these lake trolls. I tend to catch a lot more trout in the lake trolls. That is a fat little trout though. Okay, let's get these both rebaited, redeployed. Oop. There's fish. On the old school rig. I'm barely moving any line. Have to have that drag cranked way down. Good grief. He's a jumper. I'd get a lot bigger arms if I fished with these lake trolls all the time. And all that pressure is going to release as soon as I pull these blades out of the water, so I gotta be ready. That's a nice sized fish. Got him. That's a big fish too. Woo. Well, that's 2 for 3 hooked on the lake troll. And just 0 for 1 on the new school stuff. That is a fat kokanee. So I think what I'm gonna do is over here, I'm gonna switch up this Dodger to something different. It's, you know, it's not getting as many hits as the lake troll is. This is one of the strengths I feel that Dodgers have, is that there's a lot of variety of Dodgers in terms of shapes and colors. And so you can get very different actions by combining those with different lures, like hoochies or spinners. I'm going to switch this out to like a Wonder Bread spinner that has silicone skirt and some mylar. This is from Silver Scales, and then this is a Nebo Dodger that has a big, wide, slow thumb. So I'm really going to switch up the color and presentation here, which is something I can really easily do with a Dodger setup. Whereas with the lake troll setups, sure, you can use, different numbers of blades, and there are some that have brass blades versus nickel blades, but fundamentally you're still just producing just this loud thump, right? It's not like you can change how that presentation is. You can change out the lure on the end of it. You can put a different spoon on there. There was some reference in some of the older literature I saw from like the 1950s and 60s coming out of southern Colorado and New Mexico, where they were using these things called cherry bombs, which are not made anymore, although you can still find cherry bomb knockoffs on eBay. They're basically like a little wire spinner with like a cheater, like a foam bead on it, and then they put a little treble hook on there. So basically that cheater, that little foam body, gave it a little bit more buoyancy, so it would, I'm assuming it would move a little bit around a little bit more than traditional spinners. Might have to recreate that lure someday just to try it out. But I'm going to go ahead and switch out this chub dodger and orange squid to a very different setup, a very contrasting setup with a lot of different colors, and changed up the leader length a little bit here. So we'll see. That's one thing that's definitely I've seen in my short lifetime, is the explosion and the diversity in shapes and colors and sizes and weights of Kokanee Dodgers. There's just so many different ones to pick from now, and which is both a good thing in terms of being able to sort of dial in what's working on your local body of water, but also a really frustrating thing for people new to kokanee fishing because they just don't know where to start. It's like going to the spaghetti sauce aisle at the grocery store and there's like 47 different flavors and brands of spaghetti sauce, and you like have no idea which one is best. It can be really frustrating and confusing. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. There he is. Got him. He was chewing on that thing for a little while. Alrighty. It looks like kokanee. Let's do the lift. Got him. Nice. So that's 3 in the boat, thanks to the old school rig. Since we're doing a 5-fish challenge today, there's no way that the new school rig is going to come back and win, but at least can have a respectable loss by getting 2 fish. It should have had one already. I lost that one fish. If you would have asked me at around 6 this morning if I thought the old school rig was going to pull ahead and win, I would be lying if I said yes. But that's why I love doing these challenges, because it challenges my own way of thinking. Now, can I honestly say that it is as fun to catch them on the old school rig? No. It is a workout. Yeah, see, I put too much bait on this spoon, and now it's not doing anything. You really have to be careful with that. So I'm going to step down my bait just a touch. Also, you need to kind of orient the bait like in a manner that it's not creating a lot of drag. So if you're using a piece of corn, make sure that corn's sort of lined up on the end of the spoon so that it's streamlined, so that it's not catching a bunch of water and changing how the spoon runs. And just really tiny amount. Teeny tiny. That's all you need, just there for some scent. Oh yeah, now that spoon's going all over the place. Exactly what we want. Oop. There's another one on the lake troll. Old school's just on fire right now. This feels like a nice fish. It's thumping and putting up a fight. I don't see it yet. We'll get it up here. It's Kokanee. Got him. That's 4 fish in the bag. Thanks to the old school rig. That's crazy, huh? That is just crazy. Here, all this stuff's just gathering dust in the bottom of my Kokanee box. All right, Kokanee number 4. Oh, got one on the new school rig. There. Be nice to get one on the new school rig today. Though we should have had 2, I think. Swimming at me. It's the smallest Kokanee of the day. But it's a Kokanee. I'll take it. Alright, that's my 5 Kokanee for the day. And only one of them that was landed came on the new school rig. The old school rig really came through today, which goes to show that don't necessarily have to be running the latest and greatest stuff. That being said, way less work to bring those fish in to the boat using the Dodger setup than it is on that lake troll setup. Really curious to see if you thought that the new school stuff would outfish the old school stuff. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye, guys.